This is Optimal Finance Daily, episode 2772. You probably have no idea what you want, by Kevin of financialpanther.com. And I'm your host and personal finance enthusiast, Diana Merriam. This is the show where I narrate posts from your favorite personal finance bloggers, with their permission, of course. For now, let's get right to it and continue optimizing your life. You probably have no idea what you want, by Kevin of financialpanther.com. A little over a year ago, my wife and I went to an open house for a fancy big house. It was in a good neighborhood, close to my wife's family, and ideally situated for both of our commutes. The house was amazing, fully renovated, a large lot, gorgeous finishes, great curb appeal. It even had a mother-in-law living area that could be separated from the rest of the house and probably used as the occasional Airbnb space. The house had a list price of $1 million, which is a crazy amount of money. It was so far beyond what we ever thought we would spend on a house that you might as well have said it was $1 billion. It'd be like asking me if I wanted to buy a $100,000 Porsche or something. Of course, we weren't actually thinking about buying such an expensive house. We just wanted to see what a house like that looked like. At the time, a big house wasn't something I thought I ever wanted. I had spent all of my 20s and 30s living in small one-bedroom apartments and then in a relatively small single-family home. The way I saw it, my life would probably keep looking the same, with the same wants and needs in my mid-30s as when I was in my 20s. Fast forward to the present, and my wife and I are closing on a new house in the $1 million price range. We're in a very different place now compared to where we used to be. We have a kid. My wife owns her own practice. I've developed a lifestyle business that's allowing me to earn what I made at my last job, while also giving me a very flexible schedule. It's a dramatic shift in how I thought we'd live. The idea that my family would live on $30,000 a year forever while saving 90% of our income or whatever is long gone now. And that's a decision I'm perfectly happy with. I think it goes to show you that when it comes to the things you think you want, well, most of us probably have no idea what we really want. And the things we think we want, they'll probably change too. Here's why. Who you are now isn't who you'll be later. When you're young, it's kind of hard to visualize yourself in the future. I think a lot of us look at the lives we have now and envision that they'll look sort of the same in the future. Sure, we understand that things won't be exactly the same, but we assume that things won't be that different either. So at 20 years old, some of us set F.I.R.E numbers for ourselves. We look at the life we're currently living, maybe we spend $30,000 or $40,000 a year as a 20-something, and we figure we can do that forever. That's how I used to think things would work. I lived pretty simply, and I assumed I'd just live that way for the rest of my life. With some life experience under my belt, I've learned that it's pretty difficult to know what your life will look like. Life is too long to think that the way you're living right now is the way you'll want to live forever. It's hard to plan a few years into the future, let alone try to plan the rest of our lives. This is why I gave up on having a F.I.R.E number. When I look at the person I was even just a few years ago, it's almost like I'm looking at a different person. The things I thought I wanted back then are very different compared to the things I want now. It's understandable too. I have a completely different life, and I've grown a lot and incorporated a lot of the life experiences I've had into my worldview. Who you are as a person will change. You'll still always be you. But every day we learn and grow a little bit more. And as you grow and change as a person, the things you want will change too. Your life will change a lot. When I was in my 20s, the idea of having a big, nice house was never something I thought about. And why would I? I was in my 20s. I didn't care about having a nice place. My priorities were very different then. Your life will change a lot as you get older though. And as your life changes, your priorities will change too. I'm in the early kid stage of life now, dealing with babies and toddlers. That's very different from my mid-20s working career stage of life when all I cared about was paying off my student loans and living lean. And it'll be very different from my 40 stage of life when I have young kids, or my 50 stage of life when I have kids going to college and need to pay for that. Whatever you think you want now, it's probably going to change as you go through different life phases, and that's okay. Stay flexible and stay realistic. This is why I think the idea of 20 or 30-year-olds giving themselves FI numbers doesn't really make much sense. It's not that I don't think the idea of a FI number doesn't work. It's just that I don't think anyone our age really knows what we want. There's too much life to live. My wife and I always knew we'd buy a new house at some point. But when we first thought about it, we didn't have kids. We didn't make as much money either. The thought was we'd buy a house that was $400,000 or $500,000, an upgrade from our current $200,000 house. Now, houses in that price range don't really fit what we're looking for anymore. It's not that they're bad houses. They just aren't the type of houses we're looking for at our current stage in life. That $1 million house that we saw last year is a house that, in retrospect, got away. It sat on the market for another 6 months, eventually going for a little bit under asking. If we'd been serious about buying a house last year, and if a house in that price range had even seemed within the realm of possibility for us, we would have bought that house. But the idea of a house like that for us was crazy. Even more important, I didn't want it then. I thought buying a house like that would be a waste of money. That was only a year ago, and the things I wanted back then are already different compared to the things I want now. When it comes to everything, money and life, you've got to stay flexible. Your life will change, and with it, the things you want will change too. You just listened to the post titled, "You Probably Have No Idea What You Want" by Kevin of financialpanther.com. And I'll be right back with my commentary. Have you been frustrated with personal finance apps that are cluttered with ads, difficult to use, or rarely updated? So is Monarch. They built a new kind of personal finance app that's intuitive and powerful, ad-free, and constantly improving based on customer feedback. Maybe you're saving for a down payment, a wedding, a dream vacation, your kids' college. I found that Monarch makes it so easy to help you reach your financial goals, whatever they are. I definitely wouldn't be able to allocate my finances or plan as clearly without help from Monarch. In fact, Monarch is the top-rated all-in-one personal finance app. It gives you a comprehensive view of all of your accounts, investments, transactions, and more. Create custom budgets, set goals, and collaborate with your partner. And now get an extended 30-day free trial when you go to monarchmoney.com/OFD. After trying out Monarch for myself, I understand why it's the top-rated personal finance app. And right now, get an extended 30-day free trial when you go to monarchmoney.com/OFD. That's monarchmoney.com/OFD for your extended 30-day free trial. This article really resonated with me because I've seen in my own journey that many times I'm incorrect about the things I think I want, or the things I think I want tend to change over time. And for that reason, I decided that I couldn't wait until I reach financial independence to start doing the things I think I want to do. I've come to learn that money is only as valuable as your clarity on how you're going to use it and your comfort level with how much is enough. But getting clarity can be difficult. And I think in addition to asking yourself some questions about what you really want, you also need to take some action to test your assumptions about what you think you want. And sometimes this requires you to spend some money, and that's okay. So for example, ever since I was a kid, I always imagined myself on a stage somewhere singing. It was something that I really thought I wanted to do in some capacity. And I would have moments where I would try to take it more seriously by looking into taking singing lessons or finding other outlets for it. Then one day, a School of Rock, which is a music school franchise, opened down the street from my house. They had an adult program, and I felt so strongly that this was my moment. I trained for 4 months every single day to ultimately perform in front of 100 people at a one-hit wonder show. I finally got to experience what I had been visualizing in my mind nearly my whole life. I assumed I would feel the feelings I imagined when I visualized myself on a stage. But when the show was over and my bandmates were basking in the glory of a great performance, all I could feel was relief that it was over. It didn't feel how I imagined it would feel, but I'm so grateful that I tested that assumption because now I can let it go and test my assumptions about my other big dreams. So when it comes to defining what you really want, my advice would be to have a willingness to be wrong and let that be okay because you'll learn something about yourself no matter what. And also to take action, no matter how small, to test your assumptions because getting some clarity is priceless. And that will do it for today. Have a great day and start to your weekend. Thank you for listening, and I'll be back here tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.